Okay, guys. So today we are going to cover lifecycle rule in S3, then replication rule, and then summary. So let's go to console today. So what is lifecycle? What is lifecycle rule? So we talk about different storage classes of S3, right? We have seen that to save the money, we can move our data to different classes, right? Storage classes, standard, intelligent, infrequent access, one zone, glacier instance retrieval, deep glacier, right? Now, over the period of time, slowly and gradually, you are going to you are not going to use your data. So let's say you have created your data. At that time, it will be called as hot data. That means you are going to use that data frequently. Let us say after 15 days of after 30 days, your frequency of using the data reduces, right? So in that scenario, you know that after 30 days you are not going to use the data that much, so you want the data to be moved to infrequent access. After, let's say, 4 months, 5 months, you decided that you should move your data to glacier, right? Data which is older than 6 months should be moved to glacier. This is a pattern which you have decided or your organization has decided. So how can you do that? How can you move your data over the period of time? Either you go to each and every file and check, okay, this data was created on 9th October, today is 12th, so no, uh, I don't have to move this data. But if this object was created 1 month before, so I should move this data to infrequent access, right? So you have to go and do manually, or you can create a lifecycle rule. What lifecycle rule will do? It will check, it will keep on monitoring your data, it will keep on monitoring your object, and according to your rule which you have created, it will take action on that particular file. Okay, so just give the name lifecycle rule number one. All objects in the bucket, yes. Now on which object do you want to apply this thing? On the current version of the file or previous versions? So even this lifecycle rule will implement on previous version. So if you have multiple versions in your in your S3 bucket, and if you want to delete that versions, or if you want to move their tire to different versions, you can do that. Even your versions of your object, the previous or non-current version, the previous version are stored in storage class, right? To reduce the cost of non versions of previous version of your object and save money, you can configure their life cycle. Let's say first go with the current version or active version. Okay, so transition current version of object between the storage classes. So now you can see here there is a graph, there is a flow chart. Current version day 0 object was uploaded, then object moved to infrequent access. How many days? Minimum 30 days you have to give here. It's a pre-request. So you can see after 30 days the object will move from standard to standard infrequent access. Now let's say after 90 days you have to move that data. After the object was uploaded, after that 90 days it should move to infrequent access one zone or glacier. Then deep glacier, 180 days, that is 6 months. After 6 months, so you can see here current file uploaded, 30 days the data will be automatically moved to the infrequent access. Then after 90 days in in glacier, and then after 180 days in deep glacier. Why we are doing this? So that we can save our money. So here we are paying the maximum charge the Amazon is charging here. Here we are reducing some charges. Here we are further reducing our charges, right? So in your company, in your organization, there might be data which is older than 5 years, 10 years. So you should know at which data you have to move and what is the movability of the data from different storage class. Then expire the current version, that means delete. So you can see here after days after object creation. So let's say 365 days. So you can see object expire, that means delete. Okay, after how many days do you want to delete that particular file? This is for current version. Similarly, if you take here in the right side, you will see for non-current version, that is your previous version of your object. So transition non-current version of object. So if you click on this button, it will open a particular section. Now you can see it has opened this particular section. Now if you want to move non-current version to infrequent access, so you can give the date, like again it's minimum 31 days, so I'm giving that 30 days. Then after 30 days, how many versions do you want to create? So let's say you are creating multiple versions in a single day. You have 10 versions of the file. Do you want to keep all the 10 version, or do you want to keep only 5 version? Latest 5 versions. Okay, let's say you have created 10 version of your file. Do you want to keep all the files? So number of new versions to retain. Okay, other files, other versions will be deleted. So this is used to save your money. So let's say a person in your company has created hundreds of versions of a single file. That means you are paying 100 times more charges for a single data, right? So this lifecycle will help you to prevent that, right? If I'm keep on uploading the same file again and again, again and again, again and again, and the versioning is there, so that number of versions will be created for that file. This option will help you to re retain only latest file. Latest 5 version, other file versions will be deleted automatically. I don't want to preserve the other versions. Something like this you can do, right? And if you want to delete the versions, so I'm deleting after 180 days, delete the older version and only keep 2 copies. So now you can see object is created, 5 new concurrent versions are written, all other non-concurrent versions will be moved to infrequent access. 2 new concurrent are written and other will be moved to the glacier. Something like this. All the non-concurrent version will permanently delete. So you can create this type of rules. So here Amazon will automatically keep on scanning your data, and according to the whatever the rules you have created, it will act on that. This is a lifecycle rule. To manage your objects so they are stored in cost effective throughout the lifecycle, configure through lifecycle rule. The lifecycle configuration is set a rule that defines the action Amazon should apply on S3 bucket to a group of object. Lifecycle rule runs per day, once per day. Any question? So you go to management and you can create a lifecycle rule. So for different object, for different folders, you can create different lifecycle rule. So if you have a folder 1, folder 2, folder 3 and you want to apply different lifecycle rule, you can do that. You have to just give the prefix folder. Any question on lifecycle? Why we are creating lifecycle? Is it clear? Okay, the next step is replication. The next step is replication. Remember, we have talk about cross region replication. So what is cross region replication? When we are uploading a data in our bucket, it will automatically replicate the data to another bucket, the target destination bucket. Okay, so how can we do that? Why we want to do this thing? So that we can have multiple copy of our data in different region in different buckets. So this is your replication rule here. Similarly, in the management, you can go and create a replication rule. So for that, you have to create your two buckets. So let's create bucket 1 and bucket 2, or yeah, let's use this bucket. It's not public. Let me check its version is enable. Disable. Okay. So I'm going to use this bucket as a target bucket. Sorry, as a source bucket. Demo bucket version October 23, and this is my target bucket. This is my target bucket. So if you go here, go to management, create an application rule. Give a name, rule underscore 1. You can enable disable here. Apply to all object, or do you want to specify any folder? So I'm applying for all object. Now choose the bucket in your account. So I will browse it and I am selecting Virginia. This is the bucket on which I want to send the data. Now there is a pre-request that both the buckets should be enabled with versioning. Both the bucket should have versioning enabled. If you are not enabling the bucket, let's say, let me show you to you this bucket where the versioning is not enabled. You will see an error. The replication required versioning to be enabled for the destination bucket. Both the bucket, even the source bucket, it should be enabled. So that's why I'm taking this session after teaching the versioning. Okay, so both the bucket should enable versioning by default. Okay, if you are not enabling the versioning, the application rule will not be getting created. Now you need to provide a rule. Okay, you need to provide the permission for your S3 bucket to copy the data to another S3 bucket. So if you are not providing the permission, then your source bucket will not able to copy the data to target. So this bucket needs permission to copy the data from here. So we'll go to IAM, go to roles, create a role. Okay, how can we use role more effectively? I will cover in EC2 section, but here just go here, roles, create role. Who is going to use the role? S3. Who is going to use the role? S3. Next, which role you want to give? S3 full access. What permission do you want to give? S3 full access. Next, S3 copy data role. So I am giving role to copy the data from one location to another. So I have created this role. So you can see this role will be given to S3. If I go here again and refresh and see there, this is my role. Without giving the role, the application will not work. Without giving the permission, the application will not work. Next, encryption. Do you want to enable the encryption in the target? Okay, if you want to enable the encryption, then you can do that. Destination storage class. Now if you want the storage class, if you're copying the data and you just want them to directly go to infrequent access, the destination storage class you can select, otherwise all will be going in standard by default. And there are other options which you can do, check it out. Okay, control, if you want to take 50 after 50 minutes, you want to enable metrics and so on. If you want to copy the delete marker as well, so these are a few other options available, but right now I'm just creating. Yes, now it is saying there are some existing file, do you want to replicate them? So I'm saying no. So all the files before enabling the replication will not be copied to the target. So submit. So there are two files, let me delete these files. So after this point, any file which I am uploading will be copying to the target bucket. Virginia, and it will take couple of seconds, couple of seconds to minutes it will take to copy the data from source to destination. So don't be hasty that I have copied the data, I have uploaded the data, but it is not showing in the target bucket. So let me copy this file, upload this file to S3. So this is my source bucket. Now after couple of seconds to minutes, the file will be replicated here. Okay, so you have to configure your replication in your source bucket. This is my source bucket. So replication rule I have created in source bucket, because that's why the replication rule will act. Okay, meanwhile I will just show you one more property. Let's wait if the file will be getting copied to the target bucket or not. Meanwhile I will just show you one more service called event notification. What is event notification? If you are doing any activity in your S3, like creating file, removing the file, okay, restoration, anything, any activity you do, if you want to create an alert like SNS, SQS, or you have to send to Lambda, you can configure that. So SNS is to send the mail to you, SMS or mail to you. Okay, you can configure these things. So this is a alert event notification. So if you're doing any activity in your S3 bucket and you want to get notified about it, so you can configure from here. So this is the service we are going to use in our final lab. So if anybody is doing any activity in our S3 bucket, we are going to perform some action. Okay, what action we are going to perform, I will show you, but this is where Amazon give you one feature. So if anybody is accessing your bucket or creating some file or deleting some file, you can do some action, or you can like sending the email, blocking the user, like that. Any action you want, you can perform. So just read it out. Enabling and configuring the event notification. What is event notification? Okay, this is a document. So notification received to notify the certain activity in your S3 bucket. Okay, if you want to get notify yourself about some activity, you can just enable the event notification. So let's check our target bucket. Did the application completed or not? You have to just couple of times refresh it, and you can see the file is copied. So this file we uploaded in our source bucket. You can check with multiple times if you want to upload more files in the source. After a couple of seconds, it will be copied to your destination bucket. Now this destination bucket can be in your account, it can be in your different account as well. It can be your friend account, it can be your client's account. So depending on your target, the bucket in which account the bucket is created, right? Any question? And it's not mandatory that your target bucket should be in different region. It can be in same region as well. Okay, the target bucket can be in same region. Any question till here? Okay, now the final part is summary. So what we have talked about till now in S3, what we have learned about in S3. Okay, so S3 is a object storage, not suitable for installing the operating system or running any database or any application in S3. It is pure storage. Files are from 0 byte to 5 terabytes. You have unlimited amount of storage. Files are stored in buckets. So we have seen how you can create buckets, right? Then we have seen the S3 namespace and object namespace as well. Why we why the namespace of S3 should be unique, we have covered that as well. And we talk about read and write consistency, that now if you are writing anything S3, you can read it immediately, and if you are deleting an or overwriting anything right now, it's a strong consistency. Then we talk about storage classes. So we have 5 to 6 storage classes right now, starting with S3 standard. It is durable, immediately available, frequently accessed. Then S3 infrequent access. It is durable, immediate data is immediately available, but it is used for infrequent access. Then we have S3 one zone. It is similar to S3 infrequent access. However, the data is stored in single availability zone only. Then intelligent tiering automatically moves your data to most cost effective tier based on how frequently you access the data. Then we have glaciers. So previously there were one category, now we have three categories of glacier. Instance glacier, where the data can be retrieved immediately. But what is glacier? Used for archival data, optimized for data that is infrequently accessed and can take couple of minutes to hours to restore. So we got it now instant glacier, where the data is available immediately. Then uh, glacier or from glacier retrieval. Okay, what is the name of that? Okay, glacier flexible retrieval. Okay, it is where you can get the data from minutes to hours. Then deep glacier, it is used for longer period of time. If you want to keep your data for a longer period of time, and the retrieval times can go up to hours, so it is in deep glacier. It is the cheapest category in your S3 to store your data. Then core fundamental, key value pair. Key basically name of your object, value means data, version ID we have seen that, metadata we have seen that, we have seen bucket policy, access control, transfer acceleration. Now when you are uploading your data to S3, you get status score as 200. Security, we have seen the security of S3. By default all the buckets are private whenever you're creating the buckets. Okay, uh, you can set up your bucket policy. Bucket policy basically means that what type of action do you want to perform when some activity is done on your bucket. That is called bucket property. Even your object level property you can set it out. Object level property means the storage classes, uh, then versioning, all these are your object properties, so you can set up depending on your use case. S3 bucket can be configured to create access log. So whatever the activity which you are doing in S3, if you want to store that activity in a log format in a file, then you can store in different bucket. So let's say I have one bucket when I'm uploading the data, downloading the data, I'm deleting some file, and all this information you want to store in a file, then you can do that. You can have to enable the S3 login. So it is in console. You can just go into console and enable the S3 login. Go to the property. Here you can see server access login. So this is basically what activity you are doing in your bucket. You can preserve that. So the target, so you have to store that logs, so you can store that logs in another S3 bucket. Encryption. So we have talked about encryption in detail. What is encryption? To it is basically making sure that data is not being compromised if somebody hacks your data, hacks your system. Okay, so to have two type of encryption, in transition, at rest. Okay, in transition means when you are uploading or downloading data over the internet in Amazon. So Amazon is using HTTPS protocol, which comes with SSL and TSL certificate by default. So your data is highly secure using the HTTPS protocol. Then encryption at rest. So there are two types: client side encryption or server side encryption. Client side encryption basically means the client is doing encryption at its on premise and then uploading the data to S3. Second is server side encryption. Basically Amazon will do a one level encryption for you by, okay, and it is free of cost. Okay, it is a free of cost. So previously you have to configure the what type of encryption do you want to do, but now by default Amazon is giving a encryption. So whenever you're creating the bucket, now you that time encryption is mandatory. So there are three type of S server side encryption. One is S3 managed key, where all the keys are managed by Amazon. You don't have to worry about the life cycle of the keys. You don't have to worry anything, the maintenance, life cycle, or anything about the key. Second is KMS. So you go in Amazon and you create your own custom key and then pass that key to encrypt your data. Then you can create your own key at your own premise and pass it to Amazon. That is customer provided key, SSEC. So if you want to enforce to use the encryption for your file stored in S3, so if anybody is uploading the data and you want to make sure that they select any type of encryption, so you can go with the bucket policy. You can update your bucket policy and deny the rule if anybody is not passing the encryption, and that parameter is server side encryption x AMZ server side encryption. That will should be coming in header. Okay, then we talk about CloudFront. A location, origin, distribution. CloudFront is basically a physical location where your data is cached. CloudFront is used for creating the cache in different edge location. Origin, from where your data will be distributed to the edge location, and distribution is a collection of edge location. Edge location is used to improve the performance of your website or your S3 bucket. Edge locations are not just for reading; you can write the data as well. We have seen S3 transfer escalation is used to increase the user experience while uploading the data to S3 by enabling aid location. Objects are cached for time to live. There are a particular time that your cache will be live to in aid location. You can delete the cache, but it will be chargeable. Then we talk about the performance. Already Amazon has 3500 put and 5500 get request. It is highly high performance application, but still if you have facing the issue where you see that you are getting slowness in S3, so try to randomize your key, prefix of your key, right? So if your application is get intensive where you are reading the data more, so you should use CloudFront. Otherwise try to randomize your prefix so that different servers, Amazon will write the data in S3 in different server. So that's it all about your S3. Any question?